We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Eastpointe City Council on Tuesday, August the 9th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation given by Councilwoman Sarah Lucido. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as always, we thank you for the many blessings you have given us. As summer winds down and our families take their end of the season vacations, please watch over all of the travelers. Get them safely to and back home from their destinations. For those driving, keep their attention focused on matters of the road and avoid all other distractions. Our children are our future. Please give their stars the chance to shine brightly. It is in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a proclamation tonight before we move into any other part of the council meeting. This is in regards to a lady named Lily Billy Noble. She was born July 15th, 1916. Makes her 100 years and a month. And Mrs. Noble worked at Holly Carburetor from 54 to 84 as the first female financial auditor. And then she was a member of the Eastern Star, the Masonic Order. And she also volunteered as St. Joe's Macomb for many years. And Mrs. Noble has lived in Eastpointe for 10 years, very active member of the Peace United Methodist Church, and then later the Emmanuel United Methodist Church. Peace was merged for a long time, but she's been a member of the churches for a total of 60 years. She's given a great deal of her time and her talents and her gifts to Emmanuel United Methodist Church as a Sunday school teacher, finance committee chair, worship committee, and she continues to serve today as part of the Women in God Service Ministry. This was at the request of the church members of Emmanuel Methodist, and they asked for us to recognize, which we will do, Millie Noble's 100th birthday, and we feel that it should be enjoyed and celebrated by one and all, and further encourage those in the community to join with us in this momentous and important celebration. And finally, on behalf of our community, we wish her a most happy birthday. And we've done a proclamation. It's been signed by a council, and we will send it over to the church and they'll present it to her. She just wasn't able to get to the council meeting tonight. So with that, please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Here.
Councilperson Lucido?
Here.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Here.
Councilperson Marion?
Here.
Mayor Pixton?
Here. And with that, we'll move to the first hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard tonight? Anyone wish to be heard? Mrs. Peak?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. That's interesting because I worked with her at Holly Carburetor for a good 10 years. We were in the same department together, and I didn't even have any idea she was still living. Okay. I'm here tonight because of a problem that I had at my home. I came to City Hall and had some questions for the DPW. And by the time I got home, Tony Pry was on the phone with me wanting to come over and talk to me about the situation, which he did. He was very helpful, very informative, got us on the right track. And I think we are so lucky to have someone like that that has a good high-ranking job in the city that still cares about the the citizens and coming out, the residents, and taking care of things. And I really enjoyed talking with him, and he was very informative, and it's nice to have him in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else, sir?
I'd like to know what you're going to do about...
Please state your name.
Oh, Mario Sordino. I'd like to know what you're going to do about the junkyard on Hayes and Niles. The address is 22175. The guy just cleaned it up. I guess you guys are going to go out there and inspect it or something. But just as soon as you're done inspecting it, he'll take all his junk and put it back out again. It looks like it's a junkyard is what it is. I'd like to know if you guys can do anything about it. I've been asking all the inspectors for years. Before he moved in, his uncle lived there, and he had the junkyard, and he moved next door to me. Well, I got him out of there, but this guy's been over there for years, and it seems like nothing gets done.
All right, thank you, sir. We can't respond to your questions at this time, but when we do our reports, we can talk to you.
I mean, this has been going on for almost 15 years between his uncle and him. And it's an eyesore. If you drive by it, you'll know what I mean.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
Did
Mayor,
you,
I'll address the residents' concerns during my report section.
okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard? No one else? All right. First hearing in the public is closed. We move on to approval of the minutes, and we have several meetings to approve tonight. Start with the special meeting of May 17th, 2016.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting, May 17th, 2016.
Support.
Move and support. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Second one is the joint meeting of the Eastpointe City Council and the East Detroit Board of Education that occurred on June 20th, 2016. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the minutes of the joint meeting of the Eastpointe City Council and East Detroit Board of Education on June 20th, 2016.
Support.
Move and support it. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. We had a special meeting on July 19th. Do we have a motion to approve that meeting, the minutes from that meeting?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the special meeting minutes of July 19th, 2016.
Support.
Move and support. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
And the last one is the regular meeting from July 19th, 2016.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 19th, 2016.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings, no unfinished business. We'll move on to reports from administration. Start with our city manager, Mr. Duchesne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I previously forwarded to council in draft form a statement regarding the proposed RTA, the Rapid Transit Authority, and as some know and some apparently don't know, the millage question will be put before the voters on November 8th regarding a additional 1.2 mills for the purpose of funding a additional bus line within the metro area in the Quad County area of 4 counties. So I've drafted a statement, and with the idea that initially we had taken a position to receive and analyze proposals, and we've had at least 3 briefings here at the City Council regarding the proposal by RTA as it continues to evolve, I would say. It is certainly, I think now, because of many statements made, some not so factual, some misleading, some uninformed, that we have been receiving questions as a city and want to know what, and people do want to know what the city feels about the RTA and the related bus system. So I did propose a summary of the issue and a statement, and I want to add some additional, financial facts that maybe haven't been really in a dollar and cents form till tonight. I could spare reading the statement if council wants to discuss this, or if you want to make changes to it. There's no editorial pride in it. It is a position statement regarding Eastpointe's view on it. A couple of key things I guess I will talk about in this summary is that the RTA proposal will use limited public resources critically needed to address the infrastructure crisis in Michigan. Presently estimated it needs at $3.7 billion per year with $2 billion of that going just to roads. The heavy burden of a 20-year tax will impact many other local proposals, such as our Eastpointe Library millage, which is also up November 8th, the smart millage renewal in 2018 of 1 mil, and expected future roads, water, and sewer proposals. Presently, the city of Eastpointe has approximately $100 million in infrastructure needs in roads, water, and sewer. Yeah, that has to be addressed sometime in the future in some way, like many, many other cities do. Also, in thinking this forward, should the RTA proposal pass, you'll have residents of Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, and Washtenaw that will be paying considerable dollars for a bus system, and we would suggest that they be provided free fares on all routes and systems that the RTA has to provide some type of return on investment for taxpayers. The revenue from riders right now equates to 20% of the system income, and that's estimated actually higher than what they actually realize already in SMART. So you're honestly not giving up much, because this thing is 80% or more paid for by taxpayers in property taxes anyway. So at least you should be like going to the DIA, for example, you should have a free pass out of all this money. Speaking of the money, I think to relate to it, it maybe draws some attention to people. Right now, the 1 mil for SMART that will come up next year and has to be renewed to make this whole system work, so in effect making 2.2 mils necessary for buses, you would have a new yield from taxes in Eastpointe alone of $529,292. SMART, presently on your tax bill at 1 mil, generates $441,000, so you, in combination, 2.2 mils necessary would raise $970,368 per year from the city of Eastpointe taxpayers alone. So in 20 years, that at 2.2 mils would be it would be over $19,407,364. So if you look at our typical taxable values that we have, you have a situation where you're going to double what your SMART bill is in a little bit more on your tax bill right now. So you're going to be paying around $95, according to their estimates at RTA, for bus service that you have no particular use of if you choose not to use it, and then under their proposal also pay a fare for using the bus. I think the spread on this, and this is a 4-county decision, and we can understand, the numbers really well in Eastpointe, and that's magnified across the 4 counties. So if you take a home, let's say somewhere either in outlying Oakland or Wayne or Macomb County, if somebody has like a taxable value of a home that is like half of market, as we all know, so if you have a $600,000 home somewhere, they're going to be paying over $375 a year to support a bus system that frankly they probably won't be affected by in many ways. So one of the recent news stories was the executives of Oakland and Macomb wanted some changes to the proposal before their representatives would agree to put it on the ballot. Those changes, some of them were made, and they said it was the second grand compromise. Well, we're paying dearly for the first grand compromise called the Great Lakes Water Authority, and I think this compromise is just about as heinous when it comes to impacting people without much say going forward in the long-time commitment. But again, this is a proposal. The executives of Oakland and Macomb said they will not oppose it, they will not support it, they'll let the voters decide. So with that in mind, I think that a position statement or something to inform people of a different viewpoint on this is timely. Whether you want to do it or not, of course, is up to council, because frankly, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything but individual statements on this, and not as a city. But I do suggest that we consider formulating a statement on the RTA so it isn't misunderstood in a county that there will be no position taken by the county government to advocate for or against what that actually means to each local unit of government. I'm all ears, as they say.
Mr. DeMonico, you look like you're ready to say something.
Well, I think personally, at least right now, I think Yeah, some putting information out and not taking a stance as a whole council would be fine with me. Is your plan to just, you want to post that on the website, email it to any residents, pass it out here? Is that your intention?
Yeah, that was
then?
really the intent. It wasn't to, we would not be actively campaigning one way or another, but I think the suggestion that it be a free bus system, since it's going to be extraordinarily paid for, is probably good to forward to somebody, and if it passes, that's at least, I think, they owe the people of the Quad County area. And of course, the rest of it is really to understand, we are facing, and more news comes out all the time about the infrastructure demands in the 4 counties as well as in Eastpointe. And I am terribly concerned if voters show up on November 4th and they're looking at a mill to renew for the library. Here's another 1.2 mills for some bus system. And then they may not realize they have to come back and do another mill for SMART the following year. And really, that's not been cast in a very clear form by the proponents of it. So if it rises or falls on the true merits of it, that's democracy. That's what'll happen. But much like the first ads that I saw that said our area lacks public transit, that was a very misleading statement. In fact, I felt kind of highly offended by that, since SMART, as I sat and looked out my windows the other day, in 34 minutes, I watched 7 buses stop. So if we don't have public transit, I have no idea why these people are driving around in colorful buses up and down for hours and hours a day. So I think that's the kind of stuff I don't think is fair to the public. I think the RTA plan, as Oakland County analyzed it, had something like 59 faults in it, and those were not addressed in the grand compromise, because I think the executives have explained as much as they can. They did not want to look like they were stopping the voters from making the choice. But an informed decision is one thing. A deceptively designed proposal that doesn't tell people what they're really paying, like 2.2 mils to subsidize buses, I think is inherently wrong and will have an impact on the city of Eastpointe. Again, I'd hate to have somebody make a choice between our valuable library and its services and a bit of a pie in the sky support for corporate business investment downtown in the Q1 line and in other places that may or may not ever yield any benefit for them.
You might tell council what they're doing, what the master plan is doing related to the M1.
Well, I think that part was the executives objected correctly to the fact that it was redesigned that the RTA and your funds would pick up the Q1 line subsidy as early as 2017. It's been moved back a few years, but you will be picking up and subsidizing that Q1, that 2 miles of rail downtown on the Woodward. The public taxpayers will be paying for it.
And it's going to come out of the RTA.
Yeah, it's not a gift. And I know some people have gotten great credit for bringing this vision and quality downtown, but it's not a gift. It will be terribly underfunded. It will not generate enough revenue to pay for itself. And if you don't have fare box revenue and the magnificent contributions stop from private corporations who directly benefit from it, somebody has to pay for it. And it's proposed that the RTA, not proposed, it is now boilerplate, it will eventually pay for it.
Yeah, I think personally I just have 2 points. One's from the last time RTA was here. I still think the Part A and Part B, I broke this into A, where it's just the increasing things without changing any infrastructure, and then they're later down the line they were going to add this infrastructure, the actual buses. I think we wish we could do just Part A, and then I think that would roll into what you're saying, Mr. Duchesne, about I don't think I quite realized, and then would be the one point out of your document here that just 20% is going to come from fares. So really, if you went to 1.5 mils, you could go a little lower than that. Everyone could ride for free then if only 20% of the 20% is coming from fares. And then if we would have just done my Part A, I guess I'll call it, we probably could have looked at something more, regional. We have a SMART millage and an RTA millage, like you're saying, and that's not, I think everyone thought regional meant everything would get combined.
I think we sent each of council a copy of the financial analysis that was done by Oakland County. And part of that, you have to realize, is that they're depending on about 10 different federal grants. And many of those federal grants are only given to one group. So the chances of Detroit getting that are, I don't know, pretty rare that you would get all 10 of those. And then if you also looked at the funding that they would be getting from the state, what they're currently getting and what they propose to get is almost doubling what they're hoping to get from the state. Well, wherever the state gets that money, it has to come either from transportation or it's got to come from revenue sharing or something. But to double that was a little bit scary. And then I looked at the services in that financial analysis also. There was not the one from Oakland County, but with the master plan, the services that were proposed in order to equalize services, they were intending to bring DDOT to manage our 9-mile route because they're doing cross-county corridor. So DDOT would be managing that route, not SMART. And then there was no service at all on 10-mile road. So we're actually decreasing the services that we currently have. And then there was a little bit of controversy, if you read the whole plan, about who was going to do the curb-to-curb, meaning pick up at the door for senior citizen, and who would be responsible for the door-to-door. So that would be your handicap residents that need assistance with someone going up to the door and taking them down. So currently, the federal funds come in and are channeled down to RARE, which manages it out of the rec center there. But there was, in 2 different places, they had 2 different answers. One of them would be administered, that program, those 2 programs would be administered with the RTA, not locally, which I had real concerns, because if it's managed downtown, the chances of everybody getting an answer and immediate call might be really scattered. So there's a lot of things that are inherent in their master plan, I think, that are really scary, considering that our taxpayers would be paying an incremental increase over and above what we currently pay. I also had concerns about Gratiot. In the next year, DDOT is, I mean, not DDOT, MDOT is coming and they're going to be resurfacing Gratiot. So that's a lot of work to redo that, and then 2 years later, we would be doing it one more time for the RTA. And if you remember well, the governor vetoed that last bill in which it passed both the House and the Senate, which said that local communities would not have to pay the portion for the reconstruction or the resurfacing of the streets of a trunk road as well as the freeways.
So we better start saving our pennies.
So he vetoed that bill, and just to give you some idea, at the mayor's conference a month or so ago, it was brought to attention that I-75 is an example for Madison Heights. Their share currently of the redo of I-75 is going to be $4 million. But their Public Act 51 funds that they get right now is only $2 million. So $2 million is going to have to be coughed up by Madison Heights somewhere. I don't know where you get that money.
You don't, you just wait and hope for more Act 51 money, and I suppose Madison Heights, like any city, won't do ice and snow control, summer maintenance, patching. And I'd like to add, too, the real very important thing to look at on Gratiot is we are going to work with MDOT right now, that's all underway, to remove and replace all the catch basins on Gratiot. Many of them are failing. AT&T has punched cables through half of them or more. This will all be done in a construction project out here, and then it'll be milled and resurfaced next spring, and that will be investment in there in the existing structure of this. And we are told that, don't worry, we're planning enough money from RTA to go and gut the whole Gratiot again and rebuild it. Well, all those catch basin structures and everything on the median will come back out because they'll have to be all redesigned and put back in. And allegedly, that is all from the RTA money someday by 2023. So I think you have to really just think it through. And it's just a basic question of what is a priority and what comes first, and is this where are you going to get the return on investment? It's just doesn't seem logical at this point, but that's, again, part of our discussion, so.
So council, what would you like to do with this? Would you like to put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe.
I think we should
And just- Sorry, go.
let it become public record so everybody can take a look at it and digest it and understand it better.
And then council just send any additions or edits then to Steve in the meantime?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Very good.
All right.
All right, so, and now when we say next council meeting, that's next week, so.
Next week, correct, yeah.
Okay, we will do that action. Number two, we are commencing, we'll have a proposal for you to approve. What I'd like to do is a storm and sanitary investigation with a company. I've sent the information regarding smoke testing. Certainly, we have some questions have been raised, and I think the most coherently answer those, because the existing information and data from our engineers and what we know does not lead us to believe that there would be the reason for backups in the area on the eastern side of the city that took place. So I think we need to do that investigation. We'll be bringing that forward to you. So that might be something to share with some people who are interested in further information.
Explain these smoke tests a little?
Well, what basically they do is put a seal on areas in the sanitary sewer system, and then a non-toxic smoke is inserted under some force into it. And what happens is if there's illegal connections or separations, man-made or made by nature, or anything else that we're otherwise unable to detect, smoke comes out of it. It's really kind of like everything, you know, stuff runs downhill and smoke comes out of openings, so it really is simpler than it sounds, but that's really what they do. And the testing groups and agencies that will bid on it or give us proposals on it that you've seen, it basically pushes that out and you see the smoke rise, and then you go and investigate those particular areas.
And AEW would be involved or leading?
Yeah, they would be involved with it and really be part of the project to, you know, see the way the data is collected, observe the smoke testing, and then put together some action plans from that for you to look at about where to go next.
So would we pause any claims from this last flood that anyone put in with the city to see where that goes then?
Probably not, because any of the claims made and based on, see, that's part of the problem with, right now, the system shows no flaws, no errors, no problems anywhere. We don't have any reason to believe that they will be paying any claims, frankly, because there's been no continual avoidance of maintenance. The system has functioned, and it functioned the way it was supposed to. So with that being the case, then you have to go look at other things instead of just simply denying. We want to move on a little more proactively.
So then in, well, let's say the east side of the city, would it be then infrastructure of the county, state, federal government?
It could be
or-
anybody's. If, right now, we have nothing, we do not have even a leading theory on why that would, because all of the improvements that the city of Eastpointe's made are solid and sound, and they were to correct and curb potential exposure. Even though that the event that this year, like a couple years ago, was extraordinarily high in numbers, shouldn't have happened, based on what we know and have under observation by AEW and all the records that we have with the sanitary district and everywhere. So that's our best guess right now, is to smoke it out. The next point is just, I want to remind everybody that the Planning Commission has embarked on the Master Land Use Project. At their meeting last week, they had the initial kickoff and briefing with the planning consultants, McKenna, and they'll be proceeding at a fairly good clip. Based on the schedule, I think it's reasonable. I met to review it, and I would certainly say that it's doable in that period of time. But it will be, with the information meetings and the input, they will have to be working away to move ahead to update the master plan, which, as we know, is somewhat dated and does not reflect all of the changes that certainly have occurred in the 7, 8 years since the last one was adopted. 7, 8? It was 6 years has been, okay. And that's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Can we get a copy of the schedule?
I don't see why not.
And can we make that information available whenever that we need public input?
Well, it will be. They have a public participation plan as part of it, so that'll be all part of it.
Can we make that information known to residents as well?
That's the public participation plan, yeah. They will notify and they'll
There'll
put.
be public hearings.
Yeah, there'll be notices to the public and things.
We just mean post to the website and Facebook.
Yeah,
That's what I want,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it is part of their assignment under the contract to do so, too.
Okay, and then, are you covering for Randy? For
Yeah,
finance
sort of, to the best that I can. I can make a snarky joke cover for him.
Before we move on, I had a question for the city manager. You sent along in our packets, both through by email, an update, well, a revision. Let me back up. You sent us the same information we already had on the wayfinding signs. I'd like to see some action taken to update that information, to try and cover some of the concerns that we had before, to try and get that into a package that we could present to council. And my recommendation is that we form a committee to take a look at that with input from the committee, made up from at least maybe 2 members from council, and then the original people from the city that were in on it, and let's see if we could rehash the proposal, maybe streamline it some ways, and then see if okay, this is what we want, and then send that back out for bid. What's your thoughts?
I have no problem with that. It will have to be obviously no more than 2 of you. It cannot be more than that.
I understand.
So if you do have 2 that, the council wants to agree, who would that be? My only thing is how much time and effort, if people, I don't mean to take like a straw vote on this, but we have discussions, if there is enough interest to proceed, I would hate to come back to having only 2 people interested in proceeding. So, I mean, if there is a consensus, I guess, that that's a good plan and want to move ahead, I will allocate the administrative time to it, because I've wanted this for, many years, but I just want to make sure that everybody's kind of like on board with at least getting to that working point
That's what,
and getting a bid.
yeah, that's what the motion was. It was to table and bring it back up after the questions were answered. So I think
Yeah,
everyone's still in favor of that.
Yeah, I'd be fine with working out on something with the wayfinding signs for sure. I'd be, bring it back and.
So you want to work with John and
Yeah, I can work with
administration?
John with that. That's good.
Okay,
Is that all right
to this-
with everybody else?
We're available on a daily basis so
Yeah.
that we could
Okay.
work with scheduling
Yeah, we can
to,
come down, yeah, whatever.
to accomplish this, so.
Okay, very good.
All right, let's do it.
anything else for city manager?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Ben, let's do the finance director.
Well, I looked over the bills and payroll, and these were the ones that Mr. Blum had notified you because of the scheduling time. Most of these checks have been released to avoid penalties or other things, so. But I did run back through it, and I don't think there's anything significant that I would bring to your attention. Nothing out of the usual that he's indicated here. Mulch parks, flower beds, check 110529. I made a note on that. Couple things on what pipe it was, but overall, I don't have too much else to say. The Wolverine Freightliner East Side Inc. might have been a question for some, 110585. 2006 Mack was repaired, radiator repairs, so that was part of that. And DTE payments was on, oh, and I forgot, that's right, thank you, because that keys me into the little signs. Prepayment under 110607 DTE Energy for the changeover to LED lighting. And if I could have a little assistance there, Mayor Pro Tem Kleinfeld, you will see going up in the community and throughout the neighborhoods, this kind of, thank you very much. This kind of yellow and blue sign, and it's a street lighting improvement project brought to you by DTE Energy in cooperation, and I might say fully funded by the city of Eastpointe, upgrading street lights, safety and reliability. So they'll see a lot of DTE workers and trucks out, and that's what they will be doing, the next leg of our continual improvements in lighting, and that will go, those 699 LEDs, they say they will have up in a couple of months. So I'm excited about it, but those are signs they allow us to put up in different places so you know what's going on. So, thank you.
All right, any questions related to the finance director? Okay, let's move on to our attorney,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Albright.
Madam Mayor, members of council. In answer to the residents' concern about the property on Hayes, the city attorney's office did file a nuisance abatement action in the Macomb County Circuit Court. That action is currently pending. The objective is to obtain a permanent injunction to prohibit the owner from essentially maintaining his property as a junkyard, which it currently looks like. I was in court as recently as yesterday morning with the homeowner's attorney, along with Ron Dembski from Code Enforcement, and we entered into an order that requires the property owner to remove all junk and debris from the property. Initially, we had agreed on a time frame of 2 weeks. The court was not available on August 22nd, so that date was then removed or changed to August 29th. The property owner is required to contact the city and schedule an inspection by August 17th. If he does not remove all the junk and debris by August 29th, the city, per court order that was entered yesterday, will have the right to enter upon the property and remove all the junk and debris. And so that'll address the temporary injunction aspect, but we will still go for essentially a permanent injunction. We are due in front of Judge Fonts for a settlement conference on September 14th. At 8:30 in the morning, and I will be addressing the issue of obtaining a permanent injunction with the judge at that time. The second item I have, Madam Mayor, members of council, is a scheduling of show cause hearings. Ms. Van Haren is requesting show cause hearings for 3 different properties. I believe the next time, in order to meet time frames, would be September 6th at 6:30. I think that's 6:30.
Can you get back by 6:30 on that day?
It won't be an issue anymore at that point in time,
Okay.
so.
All right. Mr. Kleinfeld, is that okay with you?
Yep, fine by me.
All right.
Okay.
So 6:30 on the 6th, was that?
Yes, September 6th. I'll make sure the notices go out. And Ms. Van Haren and I have had discussion about, with dangerous building hearings and some issues with the properties being transferred and various property owners that, or new property owners indicating that they didn't have notice of the pending dangerous building proceedings, or they weren't aware that the hearing officer had issued a report and order. And so Ms. Van Haren and I talked about possible solutions to alleviate those issues, and what we came up with, and I will be in the drafting a notice that will be recorded with the Register of Deeds at the commencement of every dangerous building proceeding, indicating that proceeding has been initiated by the city, and another notice at the end of the proceeding. Once the city council has ordered demolition of a particular property, that order of demolition would be recorded with the Register of Deeds. So any property owners or people possibly thinking about acquiring the property would then have notice that there is a pending proceeding, that there's an order of demolition that's been implemented. And last thing I have, Madam Mayor, is just our monthly status report. I'm happy to answer any questions that the members may have regarding that. And that's all I have for this evening.
Do you have any questions?
No, I was just curious if the idea of recording that, if you've seen other places do that, or
What, in another municipality that we represent, that municipality does things a little differently. They actually file a lawsuit against the property owner, and what we do is we record a notice of lis pendens at the beginning of the lawsuit, indicating that there's a pending matter in the Macomb County Circuit Court, and so that anybody possibly acquiring that property is aware that there's that pending matter. If we obtain a consent agreement for either repair or ultimately demolition, I put that document in recordable form, and we record that with the Register of Deeds, so anybody acquiring the property will know that there's been an agreement reached between the existing property owner and the city, and that way anybody would know what the agreement consists of. If we obtain either a consent judgment or a default judgment against the property owner, I then obtain a certified copy of that judgment, and that's also recorded with the Register of Deeds. Once there's been compliance, then our office records a satisfaction of judgment, and then the matter's concluded.
Does that city have as many homes like we do?
It's comparable, yes. Yes.
That's all. Just thought it was a cool idea.
Thank you.
So you're going to send the first item that you mentioned, copies out to council so we can see it before? And
Yes, once I put it in draft form, I'll circulate that proposed document to the city council and also city administration, and certainly I'm open to suggestions for revising that proposed document.
and will you have time so that we can discuss it next week, or do you want to do that in September?
I should be able to get to it and have it ready for our next meeting, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's move on to new business. And the first item is approval of the special event application for 10X's Better Soul Food Carryout.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the request from Alicia Smith and Karahara Hale, owners of 10 Times Better Soul Food Carryout, to conduct a second anniversary event on Saturday, August 13, 2016, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., and I hope I pronounced that name correctly.
Support.
Who is support? Any discussion on this? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion.
Yes.
Our second item is approval to purchase 2 thermal imaging cameras. We have a motion? Or questions? If you have questions,
Director McNeilance introduce this item.
Yes, the fire department budgeted for replacement of 2 thermal imaging cameras. We had 3 to begin with. We purchased 1 new one in December of last year, and we budgeted for 2 more this year, and that's what this purchase is for. The thermal imaging cameras are used by firefighters during firefighting operations for search and rescue to locate victims inside of a structure, and also to locate hot spots inside concealed spaces and walls and things like that. So it's a vital piece of firefighting equipment for our fire department. The pricing is better than it was in December. They're offering a promotion, so we're able to buy 2 cameras at a price that's reduced from what we paid in December.
Would that detect an animal?
yes.
Yes, it would.
Just curious.
They're used quite frequently.
Yeah, it's really it's a standard piece of firefighting equipment. Now our old cameras, were allowed to get to a stage where they really were not operable, and the technology is much improved from what it was when they started 20 years ago. I think the first generation camera that I bought in Oak Park was $18,000, and not near as good as the ones that we can purchase now.
It looks like the last one we bought was $9,700 roughly, and we're going to get both of these for just under $13,000. So that sounds like quite a deal to me.
Correct.
So do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the purchase of 2 MSA Evolution 6000 Plus thermal imaging cameras for the fire department in the amount of $12,928.98, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this purchase.
Support.
Move and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Item C is the approval to purchase police patrol vehicles. And I believe a lot of questions were answered about these.
Or, well, Director McNeilance, if you want to introduce
Did
this
you
one
have
also.
anything else to add?
No, just that these are two, two vehicles that we budgeted for in this fiscal year for replacement of older patrol vehicles. One will be used as a traffic car, the other for general patrol use, and this is the first time we've requested to purchase a Ford SUV utility vehicle, which a lot of different departments are going to. We have two Tahoes in the fleet now, which we're pleased with, but we also want to try the Ford SUV and see how that goes.
Any questions for?
What model is that of a sedan?
It's the police interceptor. It's on a Taurus
It's on a
frame.
Taurus, okay.
So I have one question also. I looked at the notes, and I was trying to find the contract that was referenced, because the one that I found, it sounded like Macomb County had a deal that was the same as the previous year, which I think saves us about $741 from what we had in this, in your memo here. The Macomb County purchaser, she made it sound like it's the same contract as the year before, so I don't know why we had the higher prices. I think I'd like to double check on this, because I think it seemed like we can get the deal for, I understand all the extras, but the base price was like, between the two, was $741 cheaper from what I was understanding.
Yes, I received that information that when you raised that this morning. We did talk to Signature Ford, which is a reputable dealer. And almost every year, since I can remember, they are awarded the government contracts with Oakland and Macomb County. They said that letter that from the Macomb Purchasing is a request. I'm not sure that it was granted. And if it was granted to Macomb County, it's not being extended to us. So there's an increase of $314 for the sedan and $427 for the SUV, but they said that's the pricing now, and that the former price is not available to us. We can do some further checking into that to see why that is, or if there's anything formal in writing that says that that increase in price has been extended in the contract or not.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer if we can just, we have a council meeting next week, if we can bring this back next week, because I could forward you the person that emailed me those documents. They said they were on Mitten, but I couldn't find them on the site, so I was just curious to see. And especially if we're we're supposed to be taking advantage of that bid as opposed to going out and bidding ourselves, of course, which saves us a lot of time and hassle. I'd like to see us get that cheaper price. We should be able to take advantage of it then if Macomb County can.
But you're saying that price actually that was a request from Macomb County that wasn't approved by Signature Ford?
Well, based on the letter that I'm reading, there was a letter sent from Macomb Purchasing to Signature Ford requesting that 2015 pricing be extended to 2017. I have nothing that says it was actually granted.
I'll forward, I think I just attached the documents. I'll forward the full email, but the purchaser at Macomb County, her email, how I understood it, was that it was extended for another year, so.
It doesn't mean much if it doesn't come from Signature Ford. What the purchaser thinks is irrelevant. What needs to come is from Ford, whether they're going to
Right,
support
but it's the
that
Macomb
price.
County Cooperative. If we're,
It's good if that's
They
what the
did the-
purchaser thinks, but if Signature Ford won't agree to it, then we go back to, in the cooperative, when this was set up years ago, it was to keep it simple and to keep direct one pricing for this, but it doesn't at the same time mean that the changes that Macomb County asks on our behalf as part of the purchasing cooperative is always going to be agreed to. So unless she's got documentation that says that's the price we'll sell it to you for, then that's good, but $314 difference is, I mean, I don't know if that's important to Signature Ford, considering the bigger picture on it, but if that's the price they're giving, and as the directors inquired, they're not gonna move on it, then I'm not sure who we force into doing something.
Well, I mean, if this is supposed to be the bid that's good for the whole year, I would think that's, so I don't get how, well, the person at Macomb County's confused then, if I think that's her.
It doesn't sound like she's confused, she just isn't, I think she answered probably, you know, not speaking for her, but she probably answered the question, but if it's a hope and a wish that Signature honors that other price, she should have some documentation. I contact the executive in charge of the division and find out, but,
But then, so how do we know we can't just get a cheaper deal anywhere else? That's the whole point of, you know, there was like 4 or 5 dealerships that were in this document, and they were the cheapest. But if then you go to buy, and they're more expensive, how do you know the other dealerships aren't just gonna give you the price that was cheaper? Or, like, I mean, that's the whole point of taking advantage of these, right? I think, I'd like to motion to table this until next week and just at least give a phone call. I mean, if it can save us, I mean, obviously in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge amount, but, you know, I don't think we need the cars in the next 1 week.
Yeah.
So-
Director McNeilans, is there any reason it'd be a problem to wait a week just to check and then we could vote on it then?
I don't think so. The order cutoff date that they gave on the quote that I submitted is for September 2nd, so it wouldn't be a problem if it went to next week, as far as the pricing and the order, or the availability of the cars, so.
Okay. If you want to make a motion to
Table it.
I don't know whether we have to make a motion, do we? Just to table this?
table?
And actually,
table
I
officially
did.
do to post,
All
just to let us
You want to make a
postpone it.
motion?
We will.
I'll motion to table the approval of purchase of police patrol vehicles until next week. our
And for
meeting
what
next week,
reason?
To double check on the pricing of the Macomb County cooperative bid.
So are you going to call the purchaser at Macomb County, or, I mean, Mr. Chief has already called Signature Ford.
I don't know. I'll just
Who's
forward him
gonna
the
do
email
this
and he
work?
could
Is the administration
just
gonna
give
do this work, or council want to investigate it independently?
Well, I've already investigated, that's why I'm bringing it up right now.
But you don't have a statement from Signature Ford.
No, not from Signature Ford, but if the bid that they approved we should get that price. I don't understand how there's
I mean, right now Cardy's just making a motion to table.
I'm just asking who's going to be doing this work. If the chief has already investigated it, who's going to be calling the county purchasing agent?
Oh, I understand what you're asking. My opinion was if it comes up next week and we're in the same position we are now, I would just vote to approve it. But I have no problem saying, let's give it a week to see if.
Well, I can have the city purchasing agent make a call to the director,
that'd be
if
good.
that's a good way to go, so we can do that.
I'll forward this email right now then, so to Mr. Altimus then.
Yeah, and I don't want to go over anybody's head per se, because they were helpful, but obviously somebody else can look into it on the Macomb County side and verify that, so.
All right, you want to make your motion?
Yeah. A motion to table the approval of the purchase of police patrol vehicles until next meeting.
Support.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Item D is the appointment to the Library Commission. This is the mayor's appointment with approval of City Council. The recommendation that came from the Library Commission is that we reappoint David Michalski to the Library Commission with a term to expire August 15th, 2021. Can we get a motion to approve that recommendation?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to reappoint David say it again?
Michalski.
Michalski to the Library Commission for a term to expire August 15th, 2021.
Do we have support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion.
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido.
Yes.
All right, item E is the adoption of Resolution 1818, which is the street lighting special assessment.
Madam Mayor, Ms. Lentz has informed me that should read resolution number 1819.
For the motion to appoint,
The resolution number is 1819 as opposed to 1818.
For street
Street
lighting.
For the
lighting.
street
Street
lighting.
lighting, next one up.
oh, okay.
Is that a number with some historic significance?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to adopt resolution number 1819 to authorize the continuation of a street lighting special assessment.
Support?
Move and support. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Duchesne, can you just introduce this then really briefly so the public understands what this is?
Sure. There's a multi-step process in the process of assessments for services. And this step tells the Board of Assessors, which is myself, the finance director, and the assessor, to meet and prepare a roll for council inspection and consideration that'll have exact numbers of continuing our street lighting support program. We had several phases, and of course, the first and biggest one was we're talking about completing in the next couple of months, which is the LED change-out citywide. And then the number should reflect some changes as far as our costs from DTE and a continuing maintenance program bill that goes along. So this step is really a first step. You will see this a couple more times with some more detail and numbers as we go, but it does initiate that sequence of events that we have to do internally in order to present this back to council.
I'd just like to double check them because it's, the title is a resolution to authorize the continuation, but we're authorizing to look into it and let us
Yeah.
know what we think. I don't,
It's a bit, it's
like to
maybe a
change the
bit
wording.
misleading in the sense that's the charter process, but to authorize it to be further considered really is more of the case. It has to be done so that you authorize it, so we have to spend the time and money to prepare it. So that's a bit of the uniqueness to that. But it's really not any kind of final decision till we meet, we prepare the roll, we bring it back, hearing a necessity, and then setting an actual amount on the assessment and awarding that.
can we just rename it here? Because I think it's misleading, just a resolution to authorize the,
Preparation?
the preparation of a potential street lighting assessment, because we're not really approving anything. That makes it sound like we're just extending it at the moment.
Yeah, that's not a problem. The preparation of roll for the street lighting assessment, that would be fine. I think that still fit all the requirements.
Thank you.
You want to change your motion?
Yep, I'll amend my motion to add that change, to change continuation to preparation.
Or
All right, please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Item 8, payroll and bills. We have a motion to pay the bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $3,238,701.59.
Support?
Move and support. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico? Nope. Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Isn't this switched around?
Yeah, the next thing will be the hearing of the public.
Yeah.
Ignore that.
We go to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Anyone wish to be heard?
I guess it didn't matter then.
All right, with that, the second hearing in the public is closed. We'll go to mayor and council reports. We'll start with Mr. Kleinfeld.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Lucido.
Madam Mayor, the only thing I have this evening is I want to inform everyone that the library will be closed from Monday, August 15th till Thursday, August 18th. And also that tomorrow we are having our outdoor movie night in the plaza. The movie starts at approximately 9 p.m. and the movie is the Peanuts movie. That'll be it for this evening.
Mr. Marion.
Well, the only thing I wanted just to mention is this, very briefly, is the RTA. And the biggest problem I have with that is the buses drive on the roads. So do I. And then we're gonna spend extra money for special roads for just buses. But not me. I'm sorry. We're doing this backwards on, and I said it before, I think they built the cart and now they're trying to figure out where to put the horse. Whether they're going in front of it, behind it, put it on the cart, put it on the bus, they don't know what to do with this, with it. And I just don't think they got the whole thing. On paper, it looks pretty good. I think they spent too much time trying to develop the plan instead of really looking at the need, and the need is roads. I'm sorry, you're not gonna change the whole metropolis of the Detroit area to rapid transit in 20 years. I just don't see it happening. It's what we are, and we need the roads, number one. And even for this plan to be partially enacted, we're gonna be huge behind the eight ball on a road preparation and repair. And by the time they even get this thing halfway built, where are we gonna be at with the roads? You know, the state needs to get together and figure out how to help us to solve the roads. And unfortunately, that's not gonna happen soon. We gotta get past this election and get some new faces in there that are gonna say, okay, we got a problem, we gotta fix the infrastructure of this state. So, that's enough said on that. That's all I have.
Mr. DeMonico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hope that everyone voted last week. November 8th will come soon enough, so make sure you get out and learn about the winners of the primary and, of course, the nonpartisan candidates and any proposals that'll be on the ballot, such as the Regional Transit Authority. I'd like to congratulate Gerald Pashadlik on becoming the new member of the Board of Education. We had another member resign, so now we have a full board again. And then Sizzling Summer Nights was great. There's always hundreds of people at that at Kennedy Park this last week. It's a great event. If you can, go out the next time we have it. A lot of food trucks, and they do a movie, and just all kinds of residents out there. And then same thing that Councilwoman Lucido mentioned, the Peanuts movie about 9 o'clock. Tomorrow at City Hall here right in back on our stage. And that is all I had, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I would like to compliment Rare for I thought it was excellent planning and excellent event. Sizzling Summer Nights seemed to be extremely well attended, and that was pretty exciting. I also like to compliment administration and Bill Driscoll in particular for the music in the plaza. We're building up a group of people that come, and it's a great event and very nice, and it's so nice to see the area being used. The audiences that have come have been very, very appreciative, so I'm hoping that we can continue that. I'm excited about the movie. This is the first time we've done a movie in the plaza, so it'll be interesting to see how well that works, and should be fun for kids. And this is the last week or 2 weeks before school starts, so you're always looking for something to curb all that energy mothers are going crazy about right now. Let's see, and I guess that's all. The RTA, when you look at all the things that they want to accomplish, and all of this is going to come out of the RTA. They're going to run the train from Detroit to Ann Arbor. They're going to be doing, extending the M1 or the Q line or whatever it is, and that's gonna be covered, and then they're extending all these other things, and it just, there's so much that's so incomplete about their planning schedules, so I think it's very scary, and I can't see that they will have enough money to complete everything in their master plan as planned, just even in our Eastpointe area, with the amount of money that they're setting aside for our area. It's just not gonna work, and I think the voters, they'll go back and forth to the voters multiple times for extension on the millages, so I'm real concerned about it. But it's up to everybody to vote. Our last election, the primary, I thought was, the voter turnout was very, very negligible. We had 3,000 people in this city vote out of approximately 24,000 that were registered. And 2,500 of those?
2,000 were, a little over 2,000 were absentees, and the 1,500 balance were actual at the polls.
So that's very, very low voter turnout. And it's frightening because it is it's a presidential election, and usually we see a lot more people, but it depends on the attitude of the people that are going to vote, what's going to happen with all the millages that will be on the table as well. So encourage people to get out and vote. It's a little bit of time away, but I think this gives you the time to look at what millages, what the candidates that are up for office, and make some informed decisions. And that's all I have for now, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Three bottle of water.